Good afternoon, good evening, and good morning, everyone, everywhere, depending on where and when you are watching. Well, it's a dreary kind of winter day outside my door. There's no sun. There was some sun a little bit ago. Sun was so bright, it was covering up everything. But now it's just a hazy winter day, kind of what you expect for this time of the year. What's it looking like outside your door? Well, today, even though I'm in the house, I have traveled. You have traveled. We've all traveled. We've gone by plane, trains, automobiles, jitneys, matatus, however you have gotten around here in the United States or in Africa. You can't move without some type of transportation. In Uganda, we call them matatus. In Nigeria, they're called jitneys. I don't know what they call them in your neck of the woods, but however, we need them to get around. And without our phones, our smartphones, and our mobile services, we would have no telecommunications. Hi, I'm Ambassador Prophetess Lisa Parks, your co-host for Africa Online TV. And today we're going to be talking about the T in our stew. Not the T with a tea bag, but the T, which stands for transportation and telecommunications. And right now we're going to turn it over to my co-host, Professor Nia Sung, who will bring the editorial of the day. How are you today, my brother?
Trying to keep as warm as I can be. It's the second day of winter and it's chilly out here. This morning, go to church was just because one has to do it. It is an obligation. Thank you very much for that. I know in your neck of
stay inside by a nice warm fireplace, huh?
Yes, thank you. And here we go. It is December the 22nd, and that is the 51st Sunday of 2024 in the 52nd week of the year. It is the 357th day of the year in the Gregorian calendar. So do your math, do your arithmetic. There are just 9 days left before 2024 goes running out the back door, and the new year will be coming through the front door, I hope. It is winter, as we already said, in North America. Winter, it will end, of course, in March. That is on Thursday, March 20th, 2025. Quite a long time to come, isn't it?
Seems like a long time away. Yes, it does.
Yeah. With that in mind, we want to highlight the following National Daily Holiday, which falls on this day, 22nd of December. There were many, but we took just one. It is Abilities Day. Abilities Day, we are told, aims to promote inclusion and raise awareness about the abilities and potential of individuals with disabilities. It provides a platform for showcasing their talents, their skills, and their achievements, as well as their works towards breaking down barriers and stereotypes associated with disability. And I hasten to add that a disability is a challenge, not something to be scared about. That brings me to think of a Marcus Aurelius meditation, which reads, when we arise, quote, when we arise in the morning, think of what a privilege it is to be alive, to think, to enjoy, to love. Yes, when we arise in the morning, think of all those. But that is not what we are going to talk about, and it is not the quote of the day. The quote of the day today, the 357th day of the year, comes from Hamilton Wright Mabie and reads as follows, quote, blessed is the season which engages the whole world in a conspiracy of love. So no matter whether it's winter or summer or spring or fall, we are blessed because we are doing his work, being out here, and he blesses us each step of the way. And the love we want to highlight today and talk about is found in the letter T in our STEW acronym. Throughout the month, we have discussed social media, energy and electricity, and water. Today, we focus on the letter T in our STEW acronym. And that T stands for two things, transportation and telecommunications. two indispensable paths to emancipation and development. We are aware that where a road passes and where means of transportation reach, progress and development follow. Unfortunately, in Africa in particular, to be very specific, and for more than 60 years after paper independence, transportation and telecommunications are more a bridge too far in most countries, or simply skeletons, no veritable transportation networks or telecommunications networks to show or beat one's chest about. That is why Africa Online Media Corporation is set to discuss today how to raise awareness. We want to raise awareness, that is, we always do. And we want to ensure that you know what we're talking about, because the absence of roads, the absence of railway lines, airlines, and telecommunication links between individual countries and between various parts of the same country after independence, 60 years that is, in many cases, is a shame and nothing to write home about. Traveling from one African country to another, particularly by air, still requires transiting through former colonial capitals, Paris, London, the Belgian capital, Brussels, and so on and so forth. The question that haunts us individually and maybe collectively after all these years of paper independence in Africa remains: when shall the African continent boast and showcase its networks that are permanent and reliable within each country and link from one country to another country, passing through the national capitals and so on, if it's possible. Now, as always, is the moment to raise awareness about an issue so vital yet so neglected on the African continent. And with that, we invite the chair of Africa Online Media Corporation, Reverend Palm, you are welcome back to this Sunday, to welcome our guests and to help us unravel this challenging topic: transportation and telecommunications. When shall Africa smile? When shall we go from Lagos to Yaoundé without going through Paris first, without booking our flights through Paris to Yaoundé or to Douala? That is the question. Ambassador, well, not ambassador yet, the chair of the organization, Reverend Palm, can you speak?
Briefly, thank you so much, Niaso. Thank you, Ambassador Lisa. You and I are matching today. I'm actually wearing a red turtleneck, but I'm not able to show my face. But I promise in 2025, I will show my face, almost every Sunday. As a topic, our guest for this topic is actually on travels to Africa on a funeral thing, so they can be on. But I experienced some challenges with telecommunication while I was out because I did not inform AT&T that I was traveling. So when I got to Lagos, I had to find a way to contact them to open up my phone. So that was one thing. But then they charge a fee, a flat rate, to give you a roaming privileges. But then, as someone was telling me, it was easy to get a local phone number, but I was just too busy to even try that. So it looks like the telecommunication aspect of it is easier now on the continent. Especially in Nigeria, they have so many companies, I'm not going to call their names, but with the transportation, Uber is very efficient in Lagos. Very, very efficient. I was surprised. A lot of our team members took Uber, and the experience was very good. So, but we also had a pre-arranged a charter that picked up our people from the airport, and they were pretty good. They were pretty efficient. This young man named Wisdom, he did a phenomenal job working with our logistics department. So that was very good. And if you have like a police escort, then you can navigate the traffic in Lagos faster. So I would say it was improved. The roads were better, but we're not there yet. We haven't arrived. So let me just welcome all our viewers. Those who are watching, who are going to watch on Facebook and YouTube, you're welcome. And we also still need some student intern to help us with the social media aspect of this. But Ambassador Lisa Nelson, thank you so much. This year has been a very challenging year for me, not being able to show my face because of health issues, but I'm completely restored. So thank you guys so much for holding the fork. And I think that's where my input for today ends. Thank you.
Thank you, Reverend Pam.
Thank you very much. Yes, Ambassador Lisa, here we go.
Yeah, so we're talking about transportation in the diaspora and on the continent. Now, there's not much to talk about when we talk about transportation here in our US of A, because our transportation systems are very well. And I found out some years ago that one of the reasons our transportation system runs so efficiently is because it is funded by the government, whereas those on the continent, there is not like a centralized transportation system. You can just go buy a little van and start charging and, taking people where they need to go. The thing I don't like about the matatus, the van service in Africa is, one, that you need to be at that car park where it starts out. And most of the time, those people will not move that van until it is full. So if it's full when it leaves the car park, as it's going on its route, you'll see people that's been standing on the road waiting for transportation to come by, and they can wait for hours with their children, their groceries, because the vans will not leave the car park until it is full. So something needs to be done about that. But I've had an opportunity to avail myself and experience the matatus. I've had the opportunity to avail myself of the roads in Kenya, Uganda, in South Africa, even in Nigeria. But where I found the best roads are in Namibia. Now, I haven't been there, but according to things that I've researched, Namibia has the best quality of roads in all of Africa. Their roads are beating out South Africa and Rwanda. And we have seen lately what the president has done over there in Rwanda, and has transformed that country from the time of the Tutsi and the Hutu war till now. Has been a phenomenal job. But Namibia is said to have the best roads, and they rank 5.2 out of 7. That's pretty high for roads in Africa. I've been in Nigeria, I've been in Kenya, and the craters, we can't even call them potholes. We have potholes here in America that damage your tires if you hit one. They have potholes that will swallow your entire car. You know, the roads are just so bad, and I don't understand why we can't get the roads together. And as Nia Song said earlier, he's looking forward to the time when he can take a train from one country to the other without having to take a flight that takes you out of Africa to another country to bring you back into Africa. I've had an opportunity to fly to many of these countries, and depending on what airline I fly on, like you said, I've got to stop in Egypt. If I'm on Egypt, I have to fly over Nigeria to go to Egypt, only to come back to Nigeria. So our transportation system it still leaves a lot to be desired on the continent. I know you haven't been home lately, Nia Sung, but the last time you were home, what was the transportation like when you were there?
As cumbersome as it is today, if not worse. To
It's
go
still the
home
same.
To go home in the first place, I have to leave Washington, D.C., transit through either Paris, Brussels, or one of those European capitals. Then I take a connection flight to Douala, the economic capital of Cameroon. And from there, 40 miles away is my city, which, of course, to access is breathtaking. Just leaving the airport to transit through the city of Douala to access the roads to my part of the country is horrible.
Wow.
There are ditches on the way, not potholes. There are ditches. And
yes.
I just praise the drivers who ply those roads, those tracks actually, not roads, because it is really, really threatening. And if you don't know how to drive there, don't try it. So it is very, very bad. Unfortunately, that has been the situation since when I was there 20 years ago until today. things are going from bad to worse. I understand that the capital of Cameroon, Yaoundé, has some of the deepest potholes now because
Wow.
everything has been abandoned. Well, abandoned, I don't know. Ministries exist that are supposed to take care. The repairs are supposed to be done, but nobody knows what happens to the money that is voted, because the assembly, the National Assembly, votes budgets every year for things like that. But then, who knows? Those who receive the money or those who control the budget are like, baskets. So you cannot put water in a basket. So you cannot give money to those people, because the money ends up in their ceilings or under their pillows, and the roads are left to care for themselves. Some of the people take courage to come out and fill those potholes with mud and earth, but then it doesn't work because it lasts and goes away. So it is really unfortunate that transportation remains a problem in Africa in general, but in particular, I would name Cameroon because I grew up there for most of my life. And when it was West Cameroon and East Cameroon, that is the English-speaking part, West Cameroon, we had roads that were left by the British. Those roads were were neglected, and they all deteriorated. Every day they make political speeches and say, oh, they're going to fix this road, they're going to fix that road, they're going to repair this road, they're going to repair that road. But you end up seeing that nothing is done. Again, money is pilfered, and people who are on the ground suffer. They have to transport themselves and their goods and services to wherever they need to be, but it never really is comfortable. So unfortunately, transportation per se in Cameroon in particular remains a headache. The road between the national capital, Yaoundé, and Douala, the economic capital, is as bad as you can guess, because there was a road that was supposed to be four lanes. They ended up doing 2 lanes, but even those 2 lanes, to and fro, are still problems, and they are death traps, to tell you the truth. Accidents happen on those roads almost on a daily basis, if not an hourly basis, because drivers, some of them, well, it's not like here. Alcoholism is a big problem. You drink and you drive, and then of course, you run into the back of another car, or you run into the bush, and of course the bush is more inviting than the road. So it is unfortunate, but then what do? We just say, well, one day the sun will rise, and rise better than it has risen for the past 40, 50 years, and we will have better roads and better telecommunication and communication networks. Transportation is a shame, to say the least.
Yes, I remember some years ago, not very long ago, my church, we sent a container, a shipment of goods to Nigeria, and it arrived at port, but the transportation, the trucking company that needed to get it from the port to the church said they were unable to do it because the roads were so bad. They said the roads need to be fixed before we can bring these goods. And I know the pastor, and he got some men together, and I don't know if they went to the government to see about having it fixed, but they didn't wait on the government to come and fix that road. Those men got out there and prepared those roads themselves so that truck could come and bring them the goods that had been delivered to the port. My first trip to Kenya, my sister who went along with me, her father had been in Kenya back during the war. He was stationed in Kenya for some time, and he was telling us what the roads was like back then. And here we go, our first trip, which was what, 2005, and we found the roads were still exactly like they were when he was there during wartime. I was like, it is such a shame that the government does not take care of the country. I came back knowing, I said, I'm coming back going to our bus department, and I'm going to talk to them about going over there and, helping out with the roads. I didn't, I wasn't thinking about all the red tape and the governmental issues and stuff. I was just thinking these people need help to get around because, like you said, it's a shame that the roads are just so bad. South Africa, like I said, I tell people all the time, South Africa is like America. It's like, New York or California, the roads are good, the homes, the stores, the car dealerships, you just ride along. But I was sharing with somebody last night while we were coming down the highway. I said, because she wants to go to Nigeria with me. And I was saying, see this 4-lane highway? If you were in Nigeria, this would be turned into a 7-lane. She said, how do you do that? I said, because they just squeeze in between the middle and you just move over because you don't want your car hit. So next thing you know, the 4 lanes is turned into 6. And there is no lane for the emergency vehicles to come by. You know, you have that shoulder where you're supposed to keep empty. No, the whole highway is just filled up with cars. So transportation still leaves a lot to be desired when we're talking about on the continent.
Yes, just one point. Recently, I think last 2 weeks, President Biden was in one of the African countries because there is a railway line being built to connect up to lower part of the Congo, the Democratic Republic of Congo. But
Right.
this railway line is not for the transportation of the people, but it is rather for the transportation of raw materials out of Africa. The Republic of Congo produces some of the greatest and most needed resources, which are used to make cell phones and things like that out here, make nuclear weapons and things like that. So they are building this thing not for the benefit of the people, not to eat transportation, but to transport their most needed needs out of the continent. China,
real quick.
the United States are doing that. So it is unfortunate that they are not doing it for the benefit of the people, but for the benefit of transporting out of Africa the most required needs that they have for themselves out here in their respective countries. China and the United States stand accused for that.
Nelson, real quick, and Ambassador Lisa, I invited Mr. Wisdom Askari. He's a transportation expert in Lagos. So after Dr. Crosslin, please, let's kind of hear from him, and I'll go back on mute.
Sure.
I just sent the stuff to him, so.
Okay.
Okay.
I see Dr. Crosslin. Yes. Dr. Crosslin, unmute, please, and have your say.
Hi. Thank you for all your wisdom. And I hear Dr. Wisdom is actually here today. So I'm really excited. And I know Prophetess Ambassador Lisa, she's always ready and on fire and ready to go and help everybody. And now sounds like African Brain Bank is going to address the issue of roads and transportation. I tell you, Professor Nia-san and Her Excellency Dr. Pam Fomenang, did I say it right, Fomenang?
You did your best.
You did a good job, because I don't even try.
Dr. Crossley, you're fine. It's Fomenang that you're fine.
Okay. It's such a special, blessed name. That's why people have to think about it.
Thank you. Thank you.
And thank you all for everything that you do for the motherland. Thank you so much for this opportunity. Thank you again.
Well, wait, Dr. Crosslin, now we appreciate the welcome and all the accolades, but we know that you have traveled quite a bit. How have you found transportation where you have been traveling, especially out of the country?
Okay, so yeah, so like I'll just go with Jamaica, where like you say, you know, as you get further and further away, like say from the airport, the roads are different. As soon as we landed at the airport, I could tell, okay, we're not in Kansas anymore. So, and the vehicles, you drive on the other side. So
right.
But they're still different than the Mercedes that almost everybody drives in Cannes, France. And it's like, it's still a difference. And I would like to see the Mercedes at least in Jamaica, because I was like, okay, they have a whole, almost every car is a Mercedes in Cannes, France. And they have dents in them, you know, they're not like the Mercedes that we have in the U.S.
Oh, it's not a luxury car there.
Definitely not.
Oh,
Right. Oh, you didn't know that?
no, I didn't know. I just can't imagine
Oh, yeah.
a Mercedes being an everyday car and they all beat up like they've been in a derby or something.
Yeah, they are.
Well,
They have,
Ambassador Lisa, in Amsterdam, the taxis, the cabs are Mercedes.
Oh,
I saw that when I don't remember what year that was. I was surprised, but
oh, okay. In
the
Amsterdam.
luxury car there is the Audi, not the
Mm-hmm.
Mercedes. Yes, but
Okay.
I mentioned Mr. Wisdom before he came, and I'm glad he's in. I think we need to hear from this young man.
Yeah.
Mr. Wisdom, I'm going to give you course permission so you can post when you finish speaking. You can post information about your business in the chat box, so everybody who is going to listen to this program on Facebook or YouTube. Normally we live stream, but I'm still dealing with some jet lags, so everybody would know how to contact you. But unmute yourself, kindly introduce yourself and your business. This young man did an amazing job with our team.
Okay.
Mr. William, this is our sister organization, okay, Africa Online. So you're on a weekly broadcast. We do this show every Sunday. We've been doing it March will make it 9 years. So kindly unmute yourself, introduce yourself, and then they will ask you some questions about transportation. He's a transportation expert. Mr. Wisdom.
Hello, good day all. My name is Wisdom Akari. I'm an entrepreneur based in Lagos. I recently left BLS International, which is in charge of Spain Visa Processing Center in Nigeria. So BLS is actually a visa through consular outsourcing company. So I've been in the travel and tourism industry for about 2 decades. And so now I've moved up to set up my own business. And my business is Let's Study Portal. Let's Study Portal is a one-stop organization that deals on international student recruitment. So, but in our own case, we are doing not just international student recruitment, we are doing both domestic and international student recruitment. So we want to streamline the student journey starting from the high school. And our other business, which is Phoenix Active, is a transport, logistics, and a tourism company. So basically, we facilitate tours, we facilitate transport, um, personalized transport for visitors into Nigeria and Lagos. So, like our nickname is Drive, Sleep, and See Nigeria and Africa. So we're trying to integrate a process whereby you could actually have a seamless transportation, holidays, and precisely where you want to sleep. So you want to sleep, yes. You want to drive around town, yes. You want to see places, yes. So that is what we are doing.
So
So
you're like a personal driver. You're,
yes, we do your personalized drivers, and we're trying to over time we're looking at how we could do self-drive, but that for now is not on the listing, but we do personalized drivers and all that stuff.
Yeah, Mr.
okay.
Wisdom, I understand that roads are a problem in most countries. How are the roads in Nigeria? Can you fly from Lagos to Abuja and the rest
Mm.
of the country without hitting potholes and bad roads?
Definitely it's a no. You definitely that is a very Herculean task driving Lagos to Abuja. But the smoothest way is Lagos Benin. It's the potholes are there, but it's a bit smoother between Lagos and Benin, Lagos and Ibadan. These short distances. But on Lagos Abuja, that road has been under renovation for over a decade now.
Wow.
So when they do 20 kilometers, the next 20 kilometers is bad. So by the
Mhm.
time they finish the next 20 kilometers, they are going back to meet a defaced 20 kilometers that has been done
Wow.
like over 2 years ago. So it is it is unending. As you do 20, you come back to the other 20, you do 50, you go back to 30 and all that stuff and all that stuff.
Mhm.
So,
Yes.
So
so
let me ask you, Mr. Wisdom, what do you think is the problem? I mean, outside of the government and money, things like that, what is the main cause of why they can't? You said they do part of the road, then when they go to the next section, the part that was done was is already been destroyed. What seems to
yes,
be the main? Is it the quality of materials, the lack of workers?
I think this is I don't know what actually to situate it, but I'm thinking is lack of transparency and commitment
Mm,
on the part of the government. Because if you want to, like, sometimes they will be thinking, okay, what policy do we use? Do we want to use public private partnership to execute this project? Like build, manage, and transfer. But at the end of the day, there is no transparency in managing these processes. That is just the truth. Because
mm-hmm,
if the government wants to build, you have an allocation for such route, and you have a timeline, and you have milestones. But then you do 20, like just like I said, maybe you just do 50 kilometers, then you go back to sleep. And so at some point, it was okay, let us hand over these roads to the private this thing. But the government has actually during the days of Obasanjo, he pulled off the toll gates. The toll gates were used to, they toll the vehicles, and they pay for toll gates, and they use that to maintain the road. But he had transferred that toll to the fuel. So there's a surcharge on every liter of fuel you buy, which the government expect that they use it to maintain the roads. But on the other hand, they're arguing that private firms should manage this road, should maintain this road, and begin to toll again. But that has not been, like, there have not been a serious how do I put it? There have not been
Follow
a
up.
serious conclusion towards that end. So it's between government trying to do it, and they are saying, "Oh, this load is heavy for us. We cannot afford it in 10 years. We're doing a 10 years timeline," and at the end of the day, they will go back to square zero and start all over again. That has been a major
Yeah,
blockage.
Mr. Wisdom. And what I know for Africa is that government monopolizes road construction and so on because they think that giving contracts, the contractors will not do an effective job. But the
Yeah.
government never does an effective job because, first of all, most of the money is stolen before it
Yes.
reaches the project. So the project
mm,
may
Yes.
be lying there for years undone just because the
Be-
money has been pocketed by some minister or some big boss along the way. So it's unfortunate. And a personal story. I'm from Cameroon, and I worked in the north of Cameroon. I traveled from Marua, one of the cities, to the border with Nigeria. I was going to Nigeria, not to Lagos. I was
yeah.
going to Maiduguri. Once I crossed the border,
Medical.
I was like in heaven. Very good road. Because from Cameroon to the border was like coming from hell. Very
mm,
bad road. So intrastate roads are not maintained. I hear they are constructing
Yes.
some now that they can link one state to the other state and so on, one nation to another nation, which is a good thing to do. Because if we cannot fly within our countries, we should at least be able to travel from Nigeria to Cameroon, from Cameroon to Central African
mm.
Republic, and so on and so forth. But then the will is not there. The government is a stumbling block in its own way. So that is another problem
Exactly.
that in the continent. The
Well,
government has the money, but they don't do an effective job.
can I interrupt? A point of special privilege. I just feel like pulling my hair out, guys, because you guys are, you guys got me like on fire now. Because when I was in Colombia, traveling from Bogota to Medellin, the airplane, the pilot himself, makes up all the rules. Like how you guys were saying, how the government does. There's a lack of it enforcement in Africa and Cameroon and places like that. Well, it's like that because the cartel. I don't want this to get out. I know everybody globally can hear us. But they're in charge, and the airplane wasn't even filled up with gasoline. Now we're talking about transportation.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking about the people who make decisions. And the pilot, he was like, well, he was going to get gasoline when he got to Medellin. And I'm thinking, but in America, we don't do that. It's like there are policies and procedures in place for a reason.
Right.
It's like everybody don't get to, once we're up in the air, decide where we're going to get fuel. It's like, who does that? So,
Wow.
yeah, it was a real issue because we had, just coincidentally, had engine trouble. So it's like, okay, everybody vote. Do we want to try to make it or do we want to go back?
Ask
And
you
I'm
guys
like,
to vote.
yeah, it's like in America, we don't do that, So, yeah, I'm just like, when you guys talk about how the government in Africa does, and there's transparency, what Dr. Wisdom was saying, compared to what Professor Niasan is saying, and then we got Colombia in the middle, and it's and there's like no, they don't have to be transparent in Colombia. Everybody does, like if you want to move into an apartment, well, the whole building, you just pick an apartment, and you yourself, you do your own electrical wiring. You make your own apartment. So when we were in our apartment there, I opened the microwave, and I was telling you guys, because last week we were talking about electric, and it fell out in my lap.
Right.
So they're transparent, but if someone is not from their country and know how everything works, then you have to be careful. But yeah, it's cultural is my answer. Thank you.
You're welcome. Wow. So it seems like Nia-san was saying about he couldn't go from one place to another place in this country. So there seems to be a lack of domestic flights in our country. Just last night, I was looking to book a flight on Eric Airlines, and it was like there are no flights available. I said, well, let me go look at Air Peace. There was no flights available. I'm like, these are the two airlines that I know that will get me from Lagos to Warri, and there was nothing on the internet. So Mr. Wisdom, while we have you, is there no domestic flights? These airlines are not functioning at the moment?
No, no, there are airlines functioning at the moment, but for a wider coverage and all that stuff, Air Peace and Arik Airlines on that particular route on Warri routes, it's Air Peace and Arik. Aero Contractor used to do it in times past, but I think most of the things we've had the aviation industry in Nigeria have encountered is the costs, is the operational and
Mm-hmm.
maintenance costs. And while the government is against the companies to dollarize whatever processes they use, they still feel that they should, operate with within the local currency and all that monetary policies and all that. So these are being a major hindrance to most of the airlines and their
Yes.
operations. So by the time they try to peg their price, their pricing, and for a 1 hour flight, and it's just like okay, inclusive of airport charges and taxis and all these other surcharge, they'll be charging like $40. So they are saying no, this amount is is unattainable. We cannot use this to service the aircraft. We cannot run maintenance. We cannot run
Not
operations.
$40 per person. No.
Yeah, yes. So at the end of the day, when you compare this to the local currency, the value, it's the people look at it as exorbitant for them to fly with, but then that is still the safest means of travel. So most of the airlines have either run out of operation because one, they circle a particular aircraft to various routes So a particular aircraft can be doing like 6, 7 routes in a day, destinations locally in a day. And it's not, it ought not to be in that way. Maybe you do a combination of two, three, yeah, and maybe multiple returns and all that stuff.
Hmm.
So that has been a major issue. So the cost of the airline operation, when compared to what they used to, everything they need to maintain the aircraft is in dollars, and that has been a major problem. That's why we have fewer airlines flying, and it has been a huge problem for us here in Nigeria.
Wow. So with 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 Eric Air, I mean Air Peace and Eric, and I've flown on both airlines. Uh,
Yes.
I think I like Eric better, but the next time
Mhm.
I went back, Eric wasn't running, so that's when we jumped on the Air Peace. But let me just ask, with the airlines being so iffy, is ground transportation, even though we know the roads are bad, is ground transportation, so like what you're doing, has that increased?
Yes, yes, the ground transportation has actually increased, but they have equally raised the fares, because
They what?
they have raised their transportation fares, transport fare.
Oh, well,
So because
rightfully so, because you're spending gas. The fuel is, what we pay
yes,
for a gallon of gas here, you all are paying per liter for fuel. But
yeah.
it's still safer outside of the potholes to go by ground than to get there and your airline is not running.
No, comparatively, it's safer with the airline.
It's safer?
Yes, because one, if you book ahead of time, it's faster.
Oh,
It's relatively risk free, security wise. If you're bored, but because with the ground transportation, apart from though the security issues on the road is a little bit, it's reduced drastically.
okay.
I can say that it has been reduced by 80 to 90%, because the issue of carjacking is reduced. The
Okay.
issue,
Okay.
the issue of kidnap and all that stuff is reduced. The issue of robbery is almost zero, because almost everywhere now, the economy is trying to go cashless. So you don't see people ambushing people to say, okay, I want to rob them of their money or valuables and all that stuff.
Right.
So security wise, it has improved over 15, 20 years ago, when we always have encounters with road transportation, when you have to meet up with bandits, you have to meet up with robbers, you have to meet up with carjackers and all that stuff. So
Now, I never thought about that. The last time I was in Nigeria, my flight was canceled because of
yeah,
hammer time. It was grounded in Lagos, Abuja, Warri, everything, because I could see this hammer time coming in. So we had
yeah.
to find the transportation by road the next day. And I never thought about the fact that you could be carjacked, or the ride was very smooth for us. We didn't have no issue.
Yes, it's smooth, but the issue, this incident always occur on the Abuja route.
Yes.
Abuja down to south, Abuja up north, and all
Oh,
that stuff. That carjacking had always been one of their, major issues there. So,
wow.
but but with the coming of the trains, people go to travel through Warri, Itakbe, then you join the train to Abuja. It's another safer means of ground
So
transportation.
there's a railway coming to Warri.
Yes, Itakbe. Warri, Itakbe, Abuja. That's a train route.
I still rather go by air. I just want to get there in an hour. I took the road, which was several hours to go from
Yes,
Warri to Lagos. It was several hours.
it's
And
it's horrible. It's horrible.
yeah,
That drive is supposed to take you like 4 to 5 hours if the road is smooth and free.
oh, I think we took 6 or 7. It took us 6 to 7 hours. And I was so glad that I had decided to go a day or two early, because if I had gone one day and that flight canceled as we were going to and the airline refused to give me my money back. They canceled the flight
Mm.
and they wouldn't give me my airfare back. They just would not answer no emails, no phone calls. nothing. So I just had to eat that. I mean, it was a small thing to a giant.
Mm.
That's where I had to look at it. But I was able to finally get myself back into Lagos to catch my flight to come home the next day. So I said I will always do that from now. I will leave at least 2 days. I have to give myself at least 2 days to get back to Lagos, barring, hammer time, roads, whatever. But what are you driving Siennas?
Yes, we're driving Sennas, we're driving sedans. Um, we're thinking of our plan this year is to get a good structure and strategy and plan for for Highlanders
Commercial
and
Highlanders?
yes,
Isn't that
Toyota
a truck?
Highlander. It's a kind of truck. It's an
Oh, okay.
SUV.
I thought you were gonna say
So
like a bus, like we have Greyhound buses here. The big,
those
big.
those buses they actually have those kind of buses, 55-seater, 58-seater buses. These are operated by established companies, Chisco
Mm,
Transport, ABC Transport, GUO Transport, and all that stuff.
okay.
But the another thing this period is the frequency of irregular schedule by the airlines, especially Airpeace. My partner had to join me here on Thursday. Her flight was for 5. They departed by 12, 12:30 a.m.
Well, so you mean 7 hours delay?
Yes, and they'll just come with just apology. I have the apology there. Oh, we are sorry. We don't know how this might have disrupted your travel plans. Let's take for instance the person moving from Port Harcourt to Lagos who wants to catch a Lufthansa flight by 11:30 Nigerian time, local time, and she had scheduled a flight for 5,
Right.
and you have deliberately canceled the flight and moved operation to the following day by 12:30 hours of the following day, 00:30 hours of the following day. And all you could just say is, so oh, we are sorry, we apologize for it was due to operational reasons. Because only one aircraft is doing multiple destinations.
Mm. Well, I
So
first go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
so you see a scheduled flight that is supposed to move between a specific timings, minimum or maximum delay should be like 20-30 minutes delay, and they are deliberately doing 7 hours. United Airlines totally canceled the flight for 18th from Kano to Lagos. And all they could say, we are sorry, we could rebook you for another date. They didn't consider the people's schedule.
Right.
Somebody's traveling for an urgent reason. I had a
Hmm.
client coming into Lagos from Kano for a visa interview, a US visa interview, and on the 19th, and you have canceled the flight for the 18th. And this is not a short distance that we could say, okay, let's
Right.
improvise, let's use an alternative road means. From Kano to Lagos, it's like almost 53 hours drive.
53 hours.
Yes, because you need to
Nigeria
go.
is a vast country.
You need to go from Kano to Abuja. From Abuja, you now begin to navigate all the way down and come down and down and down to Lagos.
So, Mr. Wisdom, how are you people combating the problem? How is it being improved, if at all it is being improved?
Yeah, like mostly private sectors are going in. I wish the government could be proactive in terms of this public-private partnership in terms of the road. They just want to do the road as an exclusive list on government projects. So it means even the federal high roads, the state cannot fix it. If a state fix it, you have eaten into your own budget, and it will take the government time to
Mm.
reimburse. So most of the state governors, they decide not to fix the federal road, and they will leave the federal road even when it is very deplorable and unpassable and unmotorable.
Wow.
Because if they fix the road, they will take over 10 years for them to get a refund for what
10
they have used for that
I
project.
know.
So it's that is another thing that is causing serious havoc. Because the state government will see that this, okay, for instance, let me take for instance, Princess Lisa would know Warri, Benin, Sapele Road. This is a federal trunk road. It's supposed to be fixed and maintained by the federal government. So a state governor that wants to fix it, maybe Edo State or Delta State, if you fixed any portion of that road, you have invested your state finances into a federal road that you do not know when you will need to get this money reimbursed. And the federal government will say, "Oh, we did not give approval for you to fix this road."
Right.
So
Right.
it could go into litigation for you to get those funds because you are not given approval for you to fix the road.
So what?
Yeah, Mr. Wisdom, don't forget to put your information in our chat room
Yes.
so we can be able to reach you when we need you. But I'm not saying that we should not continue the conversation. Ambassador Lisa, let me just make this remark that in as much as you may have internal flights in Nigeria, don't think of them in Cameroon. Plan alternatively to go by road all the way from north to south, east to west.
Wow.
There are very few, if at all, any internal flights in Cameroon.
Wow.
The airports that were inherited from colonialism have been abandoned or have been left, have been neglected and have not been maintained. So flights are rare. The planes are not, the airliners are not even there. So there's a big problem there. So most of the transportation in Cameroon is by vehicle. And then from Douala, the economic capital, to the national capital, Yaoundé, there's a train, but it's as rare as a dog steers.
Oh, I did want to ask you because I heard you say that earlier, the economic capital versus the actual capital.
Yes. The economic capital is the port city of Douala. It's on the Atlantic Ocean. And the national capital, the federal capital, is in the country, inside the country, about let me see. I don't remember the exact distance, but it's usually 3 to 4 hours drive from the economic capital to the national capital, depending on the road you're applying.
Okay.
Well, Ambassador Lisa, just like in Nigeria, Lagos is the economic capital, commercial capital, and Abuja is a federal capital. So, like in the US, Washington D.C. is not the commercial capital. New York is.
New York is.
Really? Now I didn't know that. I only knew we had one capital, which was Washington D.C., and I know that Lagos used to be the capital.
It used to be, but they moved it. It's the commercial capital,
Yeah, I never heard that term, the economic capital versus the national capital. That's what I thought.
Yeah. Economic capital. That's where the commerce takes place.
That's the reality in Africa.
Oh.
Even in Ivory Coast, what used to be the capital is now the commercial capital, and then there's a federal capital, a national capital, that is where the seat of government is. Government has moved from the original pre-independence capital to a newly made capital. So it depends on the country what we're talking about.
Oh, okay. Mr. Wisdom, I want to ask you a question. I'm not sure if it was you or Nia Sung, and both of you can probably answer. You were saying the federal road, if you fix the federal road with your state dollars, then you've eaten into your budget. What makes the road a federal road versus a local road or a road that's not a federal road, if there is such a thing?
Okay, so the federal roads, like you have trunk A, trunk B, and trunk C. So the trunk C road is basically internal roads within the states. Like for instance, if you go to Edo State, there are roads that are within Edo State that is not linking any. It could be street, it could be a layout, it could be a close, it could be a crescent. Those roads are state-owned roads. It is the responsibility of the states to fix those roads.
Okay.
Then we have those roads that links from one state to the next state. Those roads are called the federal roads. So it is the priority of the federal government to fix, maintain, and service those roads.
Okay.
So yes. Now in another situation, if a road is linking more than 3 local government areas, which is what we preferably call counties, Yes, counties, like in the US is counties, like, right? But in River State we call them, and in Nigeria we call them local government. So if it's transversing beyond three local governments, that road is supposed to be on the federal list. So
Okay.
this means that the federal government is supposed to be in charge of those roads. So now, when is because but those roads are still within a particular state, right? So those sections of the road that are within a particular state that move from one state to the other. For instance, in Delta State, let me say from Warri to Sapele um to Ologbo, which is in Edo State, this section of the road is a federal road, like linking up from Lagos to Edo to Ondo and all that stuff. This road is
Mm-hmm.
a federal road. But if, for instance, if this road is within a state and is deplorable, and the state want to fix it, they still need to get permission from the federal government.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if they
Okay.
ask for permission from the federal government to fix it, it means that they're going to give a budget to the federal government to fix the road. But the federal government will not approve. And if they do not approve for them to fix those roads, they can't fix it. Even when they give approval to fix it, they don't have funds. So the state will fix the road with their funds. But getting back those funds is a problem.
Right.
So that has been a major problem for this road. Like in the case of River State, we have a federal road that is the east-west road that transverses in a particular section. That road has been bad for like over a decade now, and
Wow.
the state government would not want to fix it because the cost of fixing the road is heavy on them, and it is a federal road. So what would they do? They will look at the road there, and the road will just be like that, very deplorable, unpassable, and unmotorable.
Mm-hmm.
So these are the issues we're having.
So for African Brain Bank, that while they were in Lagos this year, you were the transportation coordinator.
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
So you picked everybody up from the airport. They went by, well, they didn't have to go by road. I mean, they could only go by road because they were only staying in Lagos. But you
Yes,
handled the whole all of the transportation while they were there for that whole entire weekend.
yes, yes, sir.
Okay.
That was my project.
That was your project? Okay. Now, this I think this gonna be now I got two other questions. But Nia-san, just want
Yes.
to interject real quick because I want that. We asked you to put your information in the chat box. Like
Yes,
your
I'm doing that. I'm doing that.
yeah, okay. So between Lagos and Warri or Lagos and Benin, which is the safest and the best way to go by road?
Lagos, Warri, Lagos, Benin. These are safe roads.
They're both safe roads?
Yes, safe roads.
Oh, because I know you were talking about the kidnapping and the robberies, and I heard you say Abuja. So are you
Yes,
saying further up north? No, that's your problem.
the aspect that we have those areas is Abuja down to Benin, Abuja down to any of the southern states.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh. Now, within these past years, within the past 8 to 9 years, the the flashpoint in this area has been the Kogi State area axis that is connecting, because Kogi State is connecting almost all the states in and to the west, to the south, and to the east. Kogi State is connecting Abuja through
Mm-hmm.
all that side. So that point has been a flashpoint where the kidnap, the carjacking, and robberies has been occurring. So it was like a routine for it to happen. It happens within hours. And I don't know how these people outplay the security agents. You still see the security agencies on the road, but yet this incident always occur.
Mm-hmm.
So
Wow. Nia-san?
Not much to add, but just to say, well, it is a predicament for the continent. We are basically talking about just the west coast, I mean, the western part of Africa. What about the eastern part? Ambassador Lisa, you've been to Uganda, you've been to Kenya. Maybe you know a little more about the road situation
Well,
out there.
I go by road when I'm in Kenya and Uganda. That's the only way I will travel. I just think it's wasteful for me to go to Africa and I don't get to see the country. I don't want to be in a plane. I love going, even though I have a lot of issues at Busia border, I've not gone to Kenya and Uganda not one time that they have not held me up at Busia border for one thing or the other. Oh, you don't have a visa. It's right there. If you give me my passport back, I can show it. No, no, no. We want 200. No, I have a visa. I don't leave this country without my visas in my passport already. But I've not found the kidnapping and the robbery and the things. Yes, the roads are bad. I think I shared with you a few weeks ago when when Obama became president the first time, they paved the road to his grandmother's house. When he became president the second time, they paved the road to the airport and built a whole entire new airport there in Kisumu. And now Kisumu is now an international airport as opposed to the airstrip that I was accustomed to coming in, just like the cartoon, the plane fly in, you get off, it flies out. Now it's a whole um, airport with the inside as opposed to standing outside. You just get off the runway and just start walking to the street, going onto your home. So things are changing in Kenya. We've seen the roads, we're driving on the roads and they're paving it as we're driving on it. So things are changing. I'm not finding those issues of the robbery. Not saying that it's not happening. I'm just saying I have not heard nor have I come across any of those issues between Kenya, Uganda. Certainly no issues like that in South Africa. Just potholes and craters. And like I said, the road from Benin, because I had to fly into Benin once, flew into Benin and we took the road to Warri. The craters were so big, the cars were being swallowed up in them. And
That's right.
and they're trying to transport stuff on their cars, which makes the car even heavier. And they're stuck in these craters, and people are trying to push them out. I was like, I've never seen anything. I've never seen. You can't even call those potholes. Those are craters. They swallowing up the whole entire car. So we're believing God for the government to turn around, which is my constant prayer, that the government begin to do right by the people that they represent, by the country that they represent. I would love for them to be able to say, that the government says, look at our country, we're doing well. There is no homelessness. We've got good roads, and inviting, make it inviting for people to want to come, not only to visit, but to come back and live. Mr. Wisdom, you said something very interesting at the beginning of the show. You said something about if you want to go and do sightseeing. Now, I've not done any
Yes.
sightseeing in Nigeria, so I want to know what is there to go sightseeing. Because every time I ask my friends to bring me something, it's like, what you want me to bring you? There's nothing here to bring. If I don't buy things at the airport, I find nothing to buy. So where are you taking people to sightsee?
So we take people out of town, and we have some small satellite towns, which is like island towns, beach resorts in Lagos, and
Mhm.
we have some other destinations outside Lagos, like the Igbokin Falls and Gurara Falls and all that stuff. We have them here.
Okay, I definitely want to be in touch as I'm
Well, don't forget Naked Art Museum, which we went to,
Naked Art
Art
Gallery.
Gallery rather, and then there was that place in Lekki, Conservatory,
Lekki Conservation.
the conservation, and then
conservation. Is that for
yeah,
Yes.
animals?
mhm.
Yes, it's like an open park.
It's like a what?
An open park.
Open park. The animals are loose. I didn't go
Oh,
in.
okay, like Lion Park in South Africa.
Well,
You just
I
No,
drive.
did not.
no, no, we don't have lion there.
The park is called Lions Park, but there's all kind of animals just out in the road. You just ride through, and the animals are out.
Ambassador Lisa, I didn't go in. I didn't want to have an encounter. So,
You didn't want to have an encounter. You was going to be in
mhm.
a car with the windows up.
No, well, that was not the case.
I wanted the windows down because I didn't want to be trying to take a picture of the lions through the glass window. And they was like, "You are not rolling that window down for a lion to come behind the car that you don't see and
I
snatch
know.
your arm." So yeah, I'm very daring like that. I push the envelope all the time.
So I'm not going to go anywhere with you then.
Yeah, my girlfriends are like, I don't know. You've been going to Africa 25 years and we still don't trust you to do right by us. So we're just a little bit past the top of the hour at 5 o'clock. We're going to go right on into our announcements, and we're going to play our anthem. And while we thought we were going to do a short show, we are going to come back after the anthem and have our
Our
announcements
last words. Yeah. Our announcements and our last words.
and our last word. Give me 1 second. We're moving to our anthem, which was written by our Excellency, Her Royal Highness Princess Reverend Dr. Pam. I'm not like Dr. Corosland. I do not try to pronounce her last name. I try it at home. I never get it.
Ambassador Lisa, going into 2025, you have to say my last name.
Okay, I would say because I don't try to butcher it in person. But
Okay.
drink of water if you need to, and we'll be right back after the anthem.
It's buffering. Okay, there you go.
Africa. Oh no. Africans, Africans for Africa. 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 Africans have many bright ideas. If only you let us share. If you really want to know my history, please come, sit down, listen to my story. God gave us a wisdom. He guides our footsteps, makes us shine and transform. Hey, as one people, with so many cultures, yet indeed we are one. Stand up, Africans, let's save Africa. Let us all unite behind Africa Online Media Corporation. Stand up, Africans, let's save Africa. It's time to come together, promote awareness, progress, and solution. Hey. Africans, Africans for Africa. Africans, Africans for Africa. Africans, Africans for Africa. All Africans can rally for a common cause, to believe without judgment in what our brother does, to identify and resolve our challenges, to allow each other's ideas without regard to standards. As one people with so many cultures, yes indeed we are one. Stand up, Africans, for Africa. Let us solve all the problems plaguing our continent. Stand up, Africans, let's save Africa. Let us empower Africans in and out of Africa. Stand up, Africans, for Africa. Africa Online Media Corporation, that's a good way to start. Stand up, Africans, let's save Africa. They have all the resources we need to benefit our society. Oh. Education for everyone. If we believe prosperity for Africans, if we believe medical facilitation for Africans, if we believe stand up, Africa, yes, for Africa. Africa Online Media nation. That's a good way to start. Stand up, Africans. Let's save Africa. Africa is the cradle of civilization, the motherland. Stand up, Africans, for Africa. We were enslaved not because we were weak, but because of our hospitality. Stand up, Africans, let's save Africa. Jump on the Africa Online Miracle Jet. Don't be left behind. Stand up, Africans, for Africa. Together we shall succeed. Together we will win. Stand up, Africans. Let's save Africa. We are writing our own story, the truth, and we shall tell it to the world. Stand up, Africans, for Africa. No more lies. Africans own Africa.
No more lies. Africans own Africa. As I said earlier, that was written by our chairman, Reverend Dr. Pam.
Chairwoman. I'm not a man.
Chairwoman, that's right. Because I always correct you. I am not the MC, the master of ceremony. I am the mistress. Not that I want to be a mistress, but I am the mistress of ceremony. Sorry for that. That is our anthem written. We own full rights to it, and we delight in sharing that with everybody who we have an opportunity to remind them and encourage them that Africa belongs to Africans. We're going to go right into our announcements. Nia-san, what's our topic for next week?
Well, our topic for next week, given the period of year we are in, is going to be psychological distress during the holidays. Are we stressed? Are we in distress because of the holidays? What do we have in mind? So we'll have our in-house psychologist to come in and talk to us about psychological distress during the holidays. That will be on the 29th of December.
Yeah, that'll be Dr. Santos.
Yes.
That sounds like that's going to be a very good
conversation.
Oh, yes, this year we've got Christmas, Kwanzaa, and Hanukkah all at the same time. We got 3 major holidays going on during this week. So there's going to be some psychological issues that people are going to have to decipher. You know, I was having this discussion with one of my sisters about her daughter celebrating Kwanzaa, and then the children are feeling left out because other children are celebrating Christmas. And should she go ahead on and do Christmas? You know, so those are some of the psychological issues that we need to talk about, because parents are stressing out as to what to celebrate, or, you know, what we want to encourage our children to celebrate. So that's going to be a very good topic for next week.
We look forward to it.
Yes, we do. Definitely look forward to that.
Yes. So we're going to take a round of the table, is it?
Yes.
Okay. Why don't we start with, I see somebody came in with an iPhone.
Yes, we have an iPhone down there.
Let's see the person. Can the person unmute and introduce themselves and have their say on what we're discussing? Transportation and telecommunications in Africa. Apparently the person is...
iPhone, are you there?
Is it me?
No.
Oh, I don't know. It just says iPhone.
It's me.
Who was me?
Me, Ugoji.
Oh,
Dr. Ogoji.
me.
Oh my God, we need to hear from Dr. Ogoji.
We want to hear from you, please.
Yes, where are you? Are you on the continent or are you here in home?
I'm here in the States. I'm here.
Okay.
Thought you went
I'm
home
traveling in 2 days' time on 26th.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So today's topic was telecommunication and transportation. We spent most of our time talking about transportation, and we know that you go back and forth quite a bit. So you want to talk a little bit about some of your experiences on the road?
Well, transportation is a key to development because, you know, the movement of people from rural area to urban area is a key to development in rural areas. Because if there's no road, goods and services cannot be transported to where they are needed.
Mm-hmm.
And vice versa, because people should be able to move from the rural area to the urban area with ease and come back, so that people can experience different type of lifestyle. So Africa as a continent has a long way to go. We need more road networks, more road development, more connectivity, and less interruption along the highways. Because in Africa, I mean Nigeria specifically, if you travel for a 30 minutes journey, really 30-minute journey from point A to point B, you might have up to 5 or 6 police checkpoints. They're there for checkpoints, collecting some money and bribes, things like that. That impacts transportation. So we have a long way to go in Africa for that. Regarding telecommunication, I think telecommunication has really improved in the past 10 years. With availability of mobile data and mobile cell phone all over the continent, people can now talk with one another through telecommunication with cell phone and all the communication apps like WhatsApp and Instagram, all those things. Of course, it has its own drawback with lack of control and fake news going over the place. But otherwise, the telecommunication have improved very well with advancement in telephones, cell phones, and cell phones cybers. Regarding air transportation, intercontinental transportation, intercountry transportation, that's a different issue. The world is a small village. I can have lunch in Nigeria in the morning, I have dinner in London. It's as easy as that. People who live in London can travel to Africa for a weekend and come back. Just as we can travel from here, I can travel from the West Coast to Louisiana, which is almost 6-hour flight on a Friday and come back on Sunday. So air transportation have improved so well in this part of the world, but it's still a problem in the continent because of regulations and cost of jet fuel, and in some countries like Nigeria, the currency has no value. That now for you to, a good example is last year I flew from Lagos to my village for just 30,000 naira to fly from Lagos to my village in Imo State. But I bought a ticket for 220,000 naira to travel this time around, the same distance.
Wow.
Under less than 12 months. So 30,000 naira, which is not a big money, cost me to travel from Lagos to Owerri last year, and I paid 230,000 naira. So almost 7 times the airfare.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's crazy. Of course, with that now, people don't travel by air anymore. And then the airlines are folding, the roads becoming busy, the road traffic becoming expensive. So we have a lot of problems in the continent that we need to talk with, that will get better. It will only get better. I think we are at the tipping point in Africa development. Going forward, things will turn around for better.
The one thing we did not bring up, now that I think about it, Dr. Goji and Mr. Wisdom, the countries that are now going visa-free because they want people to be able to have easy access into their countries, are they improving the roads? Are they making the roads better for you to be able to go from, Kenya to Tanzania? I'm not sure what countries on the West Coast are visa-free, but I know that Kenya is going visa-free. I believe Tanzania is going visa-free. Rwanda is visa-free. South Africa is visa-free. So all these countries that are trying to make it easier for you to come into, has transportation been improved and the roads have been improved?
I think so. In East Africa and South Africa, the major road work between the cities are good. Why between the city and the problem in Africa is not intercity transportation. It's rural area to the city.
Oh.
From the city to here. So even in Nigeria, to move from Lagos to Ghana is a clear road.
Okay.
Yeah.
That is correct, because we actually had 2 people drive from Accra to Lagos for this event.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
So in fact, I'm gonna drive to Cotonou, which is the Republic of Benin, on January 22nd. It's 3 hours. I'll start my car in Lagos and I'll be in Cotonou, and so the roads are good between the city. But the problem is this intercity major road works only serve the rich and the people in the cities. But for development to come to Africa the way we want it, there should be good network from the rural area to the cities. That's what the problem is.
The rural areas.
And also, don't forget that the ECOWAS road is still under construction from Abidjan to Lagos, and that road goes all the way to Cameroon, even to my village. So we'll get there someday.
So,
We'll get there.
I think the communication of the road is very key and important.
Mhm.
You know, if these roads are able to communicate with each other, it makes the accessibility of and movements of human beings and materials and products easy. You know, this what I actually was looking at the African Union to talk more of is
Mhm.
about this African trade agreements after, you know, once we get these things rolling, the African economy will grow. Once
Yes.
these roads are able to communicate with themselves,
Okay.
I can move from here. For me to go to Cameroon from River State, it is easy for me. I'll just cross the road by my community to the next district. I'm in Cameroon, you know, and all that. Then, just like Dr. Ogoji said, if the rural roads are able to communicate with the urban roads, it makes it easier for people to,
Mhm.
for free flow of human and other, activities and products by road. The road is critical when it
Yes.
comes to
The
when it
road is
comes to the
critical.
rural and urban areas, because this is something that is supposed to support itself. But in Lagos, we see it. But even though the roads are very deplorable in Lagos, we see them because you will not understand when you move from one community in Lagos to the next community, you know. But in case of River State, in case of Abia State, in case of Imo State, you will understand it because you have to pass one bad road or one untarred road to the next one, you know, and is not giving that free flow of human beings
Mhm.
and other things that would accelerate development, commerce, and all that, you know, because this is where the people are supposed to be having a living and all that stuff. So you see people moving from the rural areas to the urban areas, and now the population here is densely populated. The cities here are densely populated, while there is nothing actually happening in the rural areas. Meanwhile, the the crux of the living is actually happening in the rural area, where we have farm settlements, we have fishing settlements and all that, where this natural and raw resources comes out from. But everybody wants to be in the city, and the government is not looking at it, and they are not supporting private individuals to go into most of these things, apart from the north.
Right.
Uh-huh.
Oh, okay.
In the northern
Mhm.
side of Nigeria, I'm just giving Nigeria as an example. Where a whole lot of commercial farming and all that stuff is going on there and all that. But when you come down south, it's a different ball game, you
Mhm.
know, and and it's something that I have been trying to study it to understand why it is like that, why government is not giving necessary attention to these rural areas in terms of what they can actually, harness from this area. So that is something that is very
Mr.
worrisome.
Mr. Wisdom, is your chat box open?
Is that?
Is your chat box open?
Yes,
Oh, because we're
yes.
having telecommunication issues because you're not answering the questions that we put in the chat box.
Wait,
Okay,
Mr. Will, what question did you put? I don't see it. Oh, you sent it directly to
let
him?
me
I sent him one directly to him, and then you posted one. So I thought maybe his chat box wasn't open because he hadn't answered.
No, it's open. Mr. Wisdom, read your chat. She has a question there for you.
Okay, it's okay. Like
Yeah,
your
so while
transmission
he's
company.
answering those chat, we're gonna turn it over to
Oh,
Dear Song.
oh,
I was like, we're talking about transportation, but we're having a telecommunication issue here today.
We're talking about transportation and telecommunication.
I know, that's why I said we're talking mostly about transportation, but we're having a telecommunication issue because he's not reading our messages and answering our questions.
Yeah, that's right.
So while he's answering those questions, we're going to turn it over to Nia-san for the round of the table.
For the round
I'm
of the
sorry, before you go
table,
there, Dr. Goji, did you say you were traveling home in 2 days?
Yeah, that's why she was not. You admitted. That's why he was not in Lagos with us.
Yeah,
Oh,
I'm
'cause he
traveling
was-
on the 26th. Yeah, 26.
Oh, okay. How long you gonna be
4
gone
days.
this
Yeah,
time?
yeah, 1 month.
1 month.
1 month? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
so Dr. Goji, while you are there, give us your last words. Transport and telecommunications in Africa, what can we do to change the paradigm?
All I would say, we need to have good leaders that will encourage rural development, and also this increase security. You know, like personally, I have some lands in the village I would like to develop into farmland, but security might be a problem sometimes. Also need to have things like if we have steady power supply, if you have steady power supply, that will improve security, improve things like CCTV and tracking
Okay.
criminals.
Okay.
Then you can have farms and see what's happening in your farms through remote views or remote monitoring. So a lot of things need to happen right now in Africa. I mean, in Nigeria particularly, if you own a farm, you better be ready to go and live in the farm. Otherwise, all the investment will disappear overnight if you're not there, because you cannot monitor your farm if there's no power, no CCTV, and you cannot live there yourself. So we have a long way to go, but I think I'm very hopeful that we'll get there.
Yes, we are.
Yes,
Definitely
we will.
Definitely.
We will. And real quick, Dr. Ogoji, you need to check out Mr. Wisdom. I'll send you his cell phone number. You know, he's very resourceful, very honest. Mr. Wisdom even helped us with getting nairas, because the ATM machine will only give us 9,000 naira, which is like $4. You know, so yes, I'm not saying Mr. Wisdom is not a bank, but I'm just saying he's very resourceful. Whatever you need.
9,000 is $5.
Yeah.
That's almost $6. Well, when I was there, the ATMs was only giving $50 at one time. We had to travel from ATM to ATM, get 50, and stand in these long queues to get $50 at a time because the computers were not working. So I couldn't book a ticket online. So now I had to go get cash to go to the airport to buy a ticket. But I had to go like 4 different ATMs to get money out to go buy a ticket.
What I do, I take some cash with me, I change it. Black market.
No, take some cash, but you will need Mr. Wisdom to help you. Mr. Wisdom, you sent it to me directly. You can send it to Dr. Ogoji,
post it to everyone. Post those answers to everyone, please. So
Mr. Wisdom, you can post it to everybody, just rather than just me.
When I leave the country, I don't return any money. I don't sell my money back because I know I'm going back. So I keep it so that when I go get through my little money purse, get all my nairas. So I at least go out the door with naira or shilling or pounds or rands, wherever I'm going. I have some local currency in the case I have to tip or something, instead of trying to get money from the airport at the ATM.
Yeah, Dr. Ogoji, you have to meet Mr. Wisdom.
I will.
Yeah.
And he's right in Lagos. If we could get the information in the
from
chat
the airport.
box.
I'm going to send his information to you, Dr. Ogoji, on your cell phone.
Okay, no problem. I will call him.
All right. After that, let's see, is Dr. Crossley still with us? If you can unmute and give us your last word as we wrap up today.
Hi there, everyone. I just want to say, I'm going to change the topic for my last words. I guess I could say anything anyway. But I just want to say how beautiful, well, because I'm a beauty queen, and I notice beauty a lot with, men and women, but mostly women. And over the past couple of days, I met 2 beautiful women. They're 21 years old, students from Sudan. language is love. And yeah, so, and I just want to say Her Excellency Dr. Pam Young is absolutely gorgeous and smart and
Thank
brilliant.
you.
Yes, you are. You are. And you guys, she has this air of confidence about her that is just amazing. A quiet confidence at that. Very powerful confidence. And I appreciate that in her. And also, I just want to say thank you all again for this platform, because I learned so much. And some of the other platforms that I've been on, like Zoom, and, you know, they are like not as smart as we are, you know, where, you know, where we can like learn from each other. And every time we come back, we're learning something new. And,
Yes.
and that's how we can grow. And some of the other people, they're not open to even listening to what no one else has to say. So I just want to tell you guys, that's why I'm here every Sunday. And please keep up the good work, because I'm learning so much. Thank you again.
Thank you, Dr. Crossley, for your kind words. I'll credit God Almighty for his anointing, and also my amazing father. Yeah, they put so much in me. It comes naturally, but please invite those beautiful Sudanese girls to this program.
That being said, we turn now, Ambassador Lisa, I think it's your turn.
No, Mr. Wisdom. We haven't heard from
Mr. Wisdom, sorry.
No, he should be next to last. Oh, I guess he is last, because we already heard from Dr. Goji.
Yeah, we've heard from Dr. Goji.
Your last word on the subject of transportation and telecommunication.
I spoke already.
Yeah, he spoke.
Right, I'm sorry. I'm talking to Mr. Wisdom right at the moment.
Yeah, Mr. Wisdom.
So I believe with what we've shared today, and with what the government is doing, and transportation and telecommunication is very key to the development of Africa, and it should be given its due priority and attention, so that Africa will be able to communicate and transverse within Africa. Will be able to move freely. It is not about giving visas on arrival, but it is about giving accessibility for us to interact and communicate. And I think that is what I should be able to prefer at this moment.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you.
And I really want to thank Mr. Wisdom on behalf of Africa Online Media Corporation, because he I don't know what he was doing when I texted him, but he dropped everything and joined the program. So thank you so much, Mr. Wisdom. Yes.
And it's getting late there, so we wish you a very good night, and please have a Merry Christmas.
And yes, wonderful Christmas.
Yes.
So as we wrap up,
Lisa,
I still don't see any answer from Mr. Wisdom in the chat box. So our telecommunication is not working.
I've sent it. I don't know why it's not.
Oh, okay, let me just repost it. He sent it to me. Let me just send it to everybody.
So while we're getting those answers to our questions there, we want to thank you all for joining Africa Online. We encourage you to join us every Sunday from 4 to 5:30 Eastern Standard Time here in Pennsylvania on the East Coast of the United States. Use the timezoneconverter.com to find out what time you can find us in your area or in your country. We are so grateful that you did not rob me to stop by, but follow us on YouTube and on our Facebook page. We'd be so grateful. And you can find out as we speak about a variety of topics that affect us as Africans and those of us in the diaspora. We appreciate you so much. Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, and Happy Kwanzaa. No matter what you celebrate, know who the reason for that season is. Nia-san.
That being said, I extend thanks and congratulations to all of us for making it every Sunday to be here. And just to remind us that next Sunday, we're going to have Dr. Santo coming to talk to us about the psychological distress of the holiday times. Thank you all very much. Please take care and Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Thank you so much. And